Hi, this is Keith Weaver with the Top Executive Strategy Podcast, where CEOs, COOs, and business owners share strategies for better success. This is 6 questions in 9 minutes because the best strategies are concise business advice. So we're going to be very concise and get right to our guest today. And in a few sentences, tell us who you are and what you do.
Sure. Thanks, Keith. Ian Walsh. I am currently a private lender, real estate investment lender in the Philadelphia market.
Awesome. A lot of growth and probably a lot of need for some equity and investing and stuff. So great to have you on.
It's a hot market right now. So everywhere in the country is pretty hot. So
Right.
definitely, yeah.
Well, we look forward to hearing your insights. So to just kind of get started off, question number 2, what's the best thing about being a business leader?
Probably the autonomy and the ability to help or change other people's lives, influence other people's lives in a positive way. So the autonomy that you develop as a business owner is one thing, and then the interaction with being able to help change other people's lives is very rewarding along the way. And between those two things, it's pretty hard pressed to meet that somewhere else in a different form of work.
The autonomy is something that you really grow into, and I joke with my wife sometimes that maybe I'll go find just a regular job, and she always laughs and says, "Yeah, you couldn't handle it," kind of a thing.
You're either built for it or you're not.
Exactly.
It's the reality of it, yeah.
But so question number 3, I hear from other business leaders that their people strategy can be far more challenging than their actual business strategy in running their business. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah. So so much of what I've learned over the years is the faster you, as a business owner, you put your ego away and you stop modeling the business after, what you think you need to project yourself as, the easier the business will be with you and other people along the way. I always say that when I meet, because in my line of work, I always see a lot of people that are starting their businesses, whether it's property managers, landlords, whatever it may be. There are always different kinds of levels of business. Very, very frequently, their personality and their reflection of who they are in their personal life is what their business becomes as like a monster, like it's amplified. So, that doesn't necessarily help the people working for you, right? Because they're not there for that same reason. So I find that, when your ego is stripped away, you're at your best place to help people out because you're using who you are as an influence on them.
That was very well said. I really love that answer. Thank you so much.
Sure.
So question number 4, what strategy would you like to share with other business leaders today?
So this is the scaling end of businesses is very tricky, is what I found. Well, no, it's not that tricky. It's whatever it is to each individual. Maybe some people have a better time with it than others, but I found, that was really something I had to learn along the way. So I originally built it was a wholesaling investment property company, is where I kind of cut my teeth 12 years ago. And then that rolled into a property management company, which I built and then eventually into lending. So the strategy of scaling is really crucial, and especially learn that I didn't recognize that until the property management company was in place, and realizing that there were several critical, pivotal moments that I had really strong influences with current partners today that really changed the line of the business in terms of how to scale and when to scale. There's certain times when you have a certain amount of revenue, and the next move you make with the personnel you hire is absolutely crucial to, the success of your business. You can't afford to just hire somebody necessarily in the beginning and expect payroll to be fine, because that one person can influence, so much. So the critical decisions of who to hire, when to hire them during the scaling, and then specifically making sure you have their job outline very detailed and specific. What I find a lot in small businesses is people just hire somebody to hire somebody. Everybody starts wearing the same hats. Everybody gets frustrated and mad. And the reality was the business owner never set out clear guidelines for the person they were hiring, and in terms of what they're doing. Because the person's like, what am I even doing here? So I had to go through that. I've hired and fired many people over the years. And in the end, I realized compartmentalizing when scaling and hiring at the right time and compartmentalizing the business, and making the right decision for when to hire people along the scaling process is crucial, because it will put you upside down fast. If you're wrong, you want to hire 10 people and you got to make payroll and nobody knows what they're doing, it's going to be a mess, a disaster, and good luck. But you go out and hire the right person at the right time as you're scaling, and it's a much smoother process, and you'll know right away, because a lot more people are happy with their job. They don't want to leave it. You're happy going into work. Like, if those things aren't being met, you're probably not scaling properly.
I really like that strategy and that advice. And one of the things that you touched on is really defining and outlining when you hire someone. And as you mentioned, I've also seen a lot of businesses where they're just so overwhelmed. They hire people and they don't have a well-defined job description or what they're planning on doing with that individual. And then they're frustrated because that person's not meeting expectations. But you really have to be proactive. And like you said, really plan carefully as you move through those steps of scaling. So very good advice. Thank you so much.
No problem.
So question number 5, what other successful business owners, CEOs like yourself, would you like to maybe do a shout out to, or you think would be good on the podcast?
Sure. I mean, I've had several business partners along the way. Two that have really had very important movements in my life in terms of where, the directions when I was talking earlier about pivoting in the right direction at the right time would be my current partners in private lending. Both Jason Balin and Chris Haddon are really fantastic individuals. And they helped me see at the right time in a different business to make the right move. And eventually we came back together in this business. So those two really deserve a lot of credit and for helping me see that at those right times.
Well, great. Maybe we can reach out to them, and with your recommendation, maybe they'll be willing to be on the podcast as well. So
I'm sure.
So question number 6, just kind of a final fun question. Tell me about one of your favorite past bosses.
Truth, I've never had a boss. Well, no, I've really never had a boss. Maybe if you go back to like when I was in high school, I worked like a retail job. Oh, well, no, actually, no, hold on. Let me scratch that whole thing. So I had a very autonomous job in college where I was running my own business, like a painting company, but I was like growing through the ranks of eventually to like a vice president of the region for college student painting. And the guy that owned the company, I guess technically was my boss at the time, but it wasn't really that kind of relationship where it was like, hey, you need to be here at this time. It was just, I do my job and he's here. He was really fun. He used to like, we would always go to on trips. We would go as a company, it was just to be in college and going to the Caribbean and Vegas and, Miami. And it was a wild time. It was fun. He was a good guy. I actually learned a whole lot about what to do and what not to do in business by watching him very closely, not realizing how far into my future that would carry. But yeah, he was a good guy.
Well, it sounds like he really trained you to be autonomous, like we talked about earlier about, being a business leader and stuff. So
that's always been kind of in my blood. But he, because my father was an entrepreneur. And so I think it was just what I knew about working. Honestly, that's what it was. And then, yeah, so, but I learned a lot by watching him, that gentleman very closely and seeing, what would I do differently? What's he doing right, wrong, for sure.
Well, good. Well, Ian, it's been great having you on today. I've really enjoyed it. Before we leave, can you tell people how they can get a hold of you or connect with you?
Yeah, easiest way is probably my email, IAN, just my first name, at hardmoneybankers.com. So Ian at hardmoneybankers.com, or Facebook, Ian Walsh. Pretty easy.
Awesome. And again, thank you so much for being on. And this is Keith Weaver with the Top Executive Strategy Podcast. And for more insights and ideas, you can follow us at Weaver Business Coaching, find us on LinkedIn, and of course, listen to us on your favorite podcast platform. And we wish you the best success.